What in the world is going on in the world? First, Trump got shot at. Then there was a worldwide, nationwide outage, something like that. Let's watch.
I want you guys to look at this image because it shows that if Trump didn't turn his head in the last millisecond to look at the chart that he was going over, the picture on the right would have happened and we would be in a very, very different place right now. America probably would have had weeks of chaos and potentially riots. I wouldn't even want to imagine. Trump said that the most incredible thing that happened was to not only turn my head, but to also turn it at the exact right time and in just the right amount for me to not be you know what. Wild.
It's crazy to think that Trump could have absolutely lost his life that day, broadcasted live on television for the world to see. And even if you're not a Trump supporter, you shouldn't want to see something like that happen to anyone, regardless of your political beliefs.
This whole Trump situation just got even more insane. You see, it was initially reported that the local police knew about the threat just minutes before the attack. But now sources say that law enforcement spotted Thomas Crooks on a roof 26 minutes before he opened fire at Trump. Authorities also took pictures of him on 2 separate occasions because they thought he looked suspicious. But it should be noted that on both occasions he didn't have a gun, so he was categorized as suspicious but not a threat. They say that Thomas got down off of the roof and they momentarily lost sight of him. But when he returned, however, he had a rifle. Police were alerted by the public, and one officer even tried to climb onto the roof, but as soon as he peered his head over, Thomas turned around, pointed the gun at him, and he jumped down. We're also now finding out that there was even a local police counter-sniper team stationed inside the building where Thomas was on the roof. He was literally climbing on top of them. And although snipers on the other roof had a clear view of Thomas, they didn't take the shot until after he opened fire. Why, you may ask? Well, we don't know. No one in the public really does yet. And even if it was something like they weren't able to confirm that he was a reasonable enough danger to take lethal action, it doesn't really explain why they wouldn't have taken far less drastic measures like just taking Trump off stage. Thomas was able to get so close to Trump that he was the same distance the US Army recruits must hit a human-sized silhouette to qualify in basic training. And the questions don't stop there. Despite the FBI in the last 48 hours breaking into Thomas's phone, searching his computer, scouring his search history and bedroom, and interviewing over 100 people, including his friends and family, they still haven't found any evidence to suggest a concrete motive. The information they do have is either contradictory or just plain confusing. He was a registered Republican, but donated to the Democrats. People who knew him say he was relentlessly bullied. He passed a background check at his work and raised no concerns. And people at school described him as a little bit of a loner, but nothing out of the ordinary. He was always nice and he was well liked by his teachers. And on top of that, the FBI haven't found any indication of him researching how to make homemade explosives. So it's currently unclear as to how Thomas assembled the explosive devices found in his car. A massive investigation is currently underway into so many of these questions. So of course, when this starts to make any sense, I'll keep you guys updated.
I don't understand how somebody could take this picture of this young man up here on this roof with a gun and not think that he is not a threat to someone. They sat here and watched him pointing and aiming the gun at Trump, and they didn't think, maybe we should stop him. They waited till after he pulled the trigger to do something. What's happening, y'all? What is going on? This don't feel like it's reality.
Okay, guys, OMG. There was someone who actually predicted that Donald Trump was going to get shot in the ear back in March. Take a listen.
Saw Trump rising up, and then I saw an attempt on his life. This bullet flew by his ear, and it came so close to his head that it busted his eardrum. And I saw he fell to his knees during this time frame, and he started worshiping the Lord. He got radically born again during this time frame. I'm talking, people say he's saved now, but he becomes really on fire for Jesus, for what I saw coming. And then I saw people interceding when I saw him winning the presidency through great. The Lord showed me it would go clear into the summer. Great persecution would come on him through the judges and through the law and all these people trying to sue him and all this stuff. But there would be a stop to it, and things would start to break free come toward the fall. And then I saw him winning the election through the Patriots coming out and voting, and then there will be a great economy crash.
I mean, is everybody as shook by that as I was when I saw it? I went, what is going on? And it's not even just accurately predicting that he would survive it and that it would hurt his ear. And that in and of itself is unbelievable. But then even the fact that he predicted that immediately following this, the lawsuits that people were throwing at him would be dropped. That quite literally happened.
Not only that, but Trump did become more God-fearing. We saw that happen as well. But he gave some more predictions that we still have to wait to see. One of which, Trump becoming president again. The second of which, the crash of the economy. Will those two predictions come true? Only time will tell.
We finally know the reason the Secret Service didn't put agents on the roof of that building. But you're not gonna like it. The director of the Secret Service, so the top of the top, spoke with ABC News, and she said that building in particular has a sloped roof. That's a safety factor. So we wouldn't want to put someone up on a sloped roof. And so the decision was made to secure the building from the inside. Okay. And also, apart from that, the last part is very interesting because she also said that the building was outside the Secret Service's perimeter of responsibility. Therefore, it was the job of the local police to secure it. In response, the local police department said, "How dare you put the responsibility on us? We had no security detail for this event, and the 7 officers on site were solely for traffic duty." And even former agency officials backed up the police by saying, not only did the Secret Service previously acknowledge that the building was a security weakness, but regardless of their perimeter, it should have been their responsibility because it had a direct line of sight and was within firing range. And it doesn't stop there. News reports confirm that Thomas Cook's first raised suspicion as early as 3 hours before the shooting because he passed through a security screening area with a rangefinder, which, for anyone that doesn't know, is a device used by hunters or long-range shooters to measure distances for long-range shots. We also now know that the pictures taken of Crooks were digitally distributed to all officers an hour before the shooting, confirmation that the local police did communicate their suspicions to the agency, and that the top Secret Service agent in charge of securing the entire rally was speaking to local police on the phone at the time the shooting took place. I mean, the failure by the Secret Service is so colossal, it's almost understandable why conspiracies are running so wild on social media right now, because it doesn't make any sense. Despite many calls for the director to step down and resign, Kimberly Chettle said she will not.
This entire situation was handled so poorly that you can't help but to think that everyone involved that was supposed to help protect Donald Trump failed to protect Donald Trump. And the fact that the Secret Service wanted to point the finger at anyone but themselves just goes to show you how unprofessional they actually are when it comes to this matter, this specific situation. Not to say that they haven't handled or will handle other situations better in the future, but this one, they know they bit the bullet. Maybe that wasn't the right thing to say.
Today, we are witnessing one of the biggest global outages in years, and you want to know what caused it? One single defective content update for Windows. I mean, I am happy to report that it's not a cyber attack, but it is just a shocking reminder of just how delicate our modern digital infrastructure can be. This outage has wreaked havoc around the world, affecting banks, hospitals, airports, supermarkets, pharmacies, schools, TV stations, trains, taxis, Xbox gamers, and the list goes on. Oh, and of course, with the UK's luck, but not only did today happen to be their busiest travel day of the entire year, but they were also scheduled to have the most amount of departures from the UK since before the pandemic. And then this happens. Currently, the blame for all of this chaos is being placed on US-based cybersecurity company called CrowdStrike. And according to their last earnings, they have 24,000 customers. And no, that's not individual people. That's 24,000 large companies, including Apple, Microsoft, and Linux. Immediately, their shares have dropped about 20%. That means a $16 billion loss in value. And just to make matters worse, experts are now saying that the fix for all of these blue screens of death may not be possible with one central command from a firm's HQ, and hands-on keyboard treatment may be needed.
Oh my God, that little bit of mistake caused them billions, but caused a lot of other companies billions as well. Woo-hoo-wee. Somebody messed up.
The suggestions Microsoft have listed right now is switching your computer on and off up to 15 times. This is still a developing situation, so of course I'll keep you guys updated.
I don't know what I was doing or where I was that day, but I'm glad nothing that I own was affected. Now, imagine if it was a direct cyber attack, not one that affects just America, but the entire world, one that wouldn't be so easy to recover from. What would happen then?
A large blackout affecting the entire or a large portion of the United States of America. Imagine what that's like. You walk outside, you turn on your phone, there's no signal. You go back inside, you turn on the TV, no signal. You turn on the faucet, no water. You turn on the fridge, no refrigeration. Your food starts to spoil. You walk outside, cars pile up, no street lights. Within 3 to 5 days, the food is gone from the grocery stores. And the trucks that the city counts on to resupply that food aren't coming. The sewage system starts to overflow and contaminates what remains of the water supply, and people start getting cholera. Societal order starts to break down. There's mass evacuations. The emergency responders have now left their positions, like many did during Katrina, to protect themselves and their own families. The unfortunate news is that the threat of such a blackout is very real.
Hey, that looked like a very useful book. The amount of people that aren't self-sufficient or self-reliant, that won't be able to do the things necessary to make sure that they can take care of themselves. I have a friend, a woman that I have dated, a woman that I would run to if something like this were to happen, because she is always planning for this day to come. Call her crazy if you want, but she is ready. And I am not. I am that weakling. I'm going to run to her. I told her already. I'm coming to you. I'm coming straight to you because you're going to help me with this one. Oh, shit. National weather flash flood. National weather flash flood alert happening right now. Lord have mercy.
One sec, just calculating the odds that Donald Trump actually is a time traveler. And they say he pulled it off with the help of Nikola Tesla. Hey, someone get this nut job off the internet already. Listen, I'm about to spit a series of pure facts, as I usually do, that support this insane theory. Even I found this one hard to believe at first, and it may not be true, but the evidence was just getting harder and harder to deny. Feel free to fact check any of these and make your own independent decision on what you think. You ready? For real, let me know if any single one of these points is not true. Nikola Tesla was an imaginative inventor in the early 1900s with a keen interest in time travel. That's a fact. According to reports, in 1895, he made a shocking discovery suggesting, not confirming, that time and space could be influenced by magnetic fields. After which he's quoted as saying he could see the past, present, and future all at the same time. When Tesla passed away in 1943, the FBI and Office of Alien Property seized his research and handed it to a team for study, among whom was John G. Trump, Donald Trump's uncle and a well-respected electrical engineer at MIT. This all actually happened. John G. Trump claimed Tesla's documents did not include new sound workable principles or methods for realizing any results, which may be trying to downplay what Tesla's work was truly capable of. In 1952, after a U.S. court declared Sava Kasanovich, Nikola Tesla's nephew, the rightful heir to his uncle's estate, Tesla's files and other materials were sent to Serbia, where the nephew lived, and they now reside at the Nikola Tesla Museum. But while the FBI originally recorded some 80 trunks of documents among Tesla's work, only 60 trunks arrived in Serbia. Maybe they packed the 80 into 60, but there is the possibility that someone kept the missing documents. So, John G. Trump receives 80 trunks of Tesla's confiscated documents, some of which have never been shown to the public, and only 60 are returned. Keep this story in mind, because we barely even grazed a tip. Now, a lawyer and writer named Ingersoll Lockwood lived in New York City around the same time that Tesla did, in the late 18 to early 1900s. In the 1890s, Ingersoll Lockwood wrote a book called Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey, which just so happens to share the same name as Donald Trump's son. The book is about an aristocrat boy named Baron who lives in Trump Castle, who gets bored of his life of luxury and decides to go on an adventure. Baron comes into possession of a 15th century manuscript titled A World Within a World, written by a man named Don, who sort of acts as a spiritual mentor throughout the story. Through this manuscript, he travels to Russia to find a portal that leads him into the Hollow Earth and go on a time travel adventure. A pretty standard work of fiction, but an awful lot of coincidences in there if you ask me. Then in 1896, Lockwood writes another book called 1900, or The Last President, in which an unlikely wealthy candidate becomes president of the United States. In the book, no one thought this person would win, so riots break out in New York City claiming, and I quote, "The Fifth Avenue Hotel will be the first to feel the fury of the mob." Trump Tower happens to be on Fifth Avenue in New York City. In The Last President, the president also announces a Secretary of Agriculture named Pence, the same name as Trump's past vice president. Then, when he runs again in 1900, an uproar arises and the Capitol is struck by dynamite and destroyed. A fiasco in the Capitol building following an uproar from a presidential election. Where have we seen that before? The official synopsis of the book claims it laments or mourns the Democrat Party's socialist platform of 1896. Hey, I ain't touching that one. And finally, a quote near the end of the book reads, "As the dawn broke cold and gray and its first dim light fell upon that shattered dome," referring to the Capitol building, relax, "glorious even in its ruins, a single human eye filled a gleam of devilish joy, looked up at it long and steadily." A single human eye? Gleam of devilish joy? What exactly are they talking about here? In a book written over 120 years ago, almost like it knew what was gonna happen in the future. During a time which Tesla was toying with time travel, whose documents were seized by the uncle of the person named in the book and sorta outlines his political career. The theory goes, meaning this part right here is not a fact, John G. Trump took Tesla's documents, used them to make a time machine and shared that tech with his family, who then used it to travel through time and warn the world of impending doom through a series of books. Why be so cryptic about it and warn the world through books instead of just outright telling us? The time traveler's dilemma. If we're outright warned by someone from the future about some impending doom, the perpetrators of that doom will come up with another plan as their original one had been foiled. Crazy, 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 insane, ridiculous nonsense. Time travel is impossible, and it never will be, right? Famed PhD physicist Michio Kaku doesn't seem to think so. Quoted as saying, "Once confined to fantasy and science fiction, time travel is now simply an engineering problem." In 2003. Might be possible is still very far from confirmed, but it also means it's not 100% impossible. Even the Google debunker's beloved Snopes fact-checking website calls this particular theory mostly true, deriving the mostly from a handful of nitpick technicalities, like Dawn isn't his real name in the book, it's just a title for a man and such. One coincidental fact? Sure. 2, 3 maybe even, why not? But 14 factual coincidences with absolutely no connection whatsoever? What are the chances of that? Hey yo, somebody run those facts back and let me know. I think they're catching on.
I mean, you almost don't even want him to be the next president in that case, because it could mean that the world would end.
Did The Simpsons just predict that Kamala Harris is going to win the 2024 presidential election and become the first female president? This old clip from The Simpsons literally gives me the chills because Lisa even explains that she becomes the first woman president, and she explains how Donald Trump ruined the economy. And honestly, the creator of The Simpsons scares the shit out of me just because how much shit actually comes true that is on the TV show. Like, I don't know if he's the feds, I don't know if he's the ops, I don't know what the hell he is, but let me tell you, the way you be hitting on different shit is crazy. And there's even a map showing how close the race actually is, and I'm going to come back to this, and I'm going to look at all of these states and see if this is exactly the same, because that's how much The Simpsons scare the shit out of me. But I'm going to go ahead and roll you guys this clip of The Simpsons predicting Kamala Harris winning the 2024 presidential election. And you guys let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments.
Excellent question. Yes, I am proud to be America's first straight female president. Helen?
Wasn't I wearing a hat?
Yes, you were. Now, in conclusion, my administration will focus on the 3 R's. Reading, writing, and refilling the ocean. Thank you very much.
A new trend has begun among Trump supporters, and that is wearing a white bandage on their right ear. And as soon as
I was wondering why they was doing this. Now I get it.
the video started to go viral, boy, did it split opinions. Some are saying that they love it, and it is a sign of loyalty and solidarity with Trump, while others are saying that it is embarrassing and labeled it cult-like behavior. So I mean, question is, do you see this and you think that it's just a harmless show of support, or an embarrassing cult-like trend?
It's tacky. It's real tacky. What? White folks. Oh man, I'm glad I'm just 30%, because if I was 50, I'd probably have a dang old bandage on my ear right now.
Did we just watch a conspiracy theory come to life in front of millions of people last night at the RNC? Just track with me. This is going to be a minute, but it's worth it. Grab a drink, sit down. Here we go. First, let me say I am not a supporter of either party. I'm not a member of either party. You can't go on my page and see anything that says vote Trump or vote Biden. I think the two parties are wings of the same evil bird. Okay? Just clear? Got it? Let's keep moving. I'm also not into like whatever that whole thing was for a while with.
By the way, if y'all want to know where I stand politically, I'm on his team. I feel the way he feels about it.
V or Q or U or whatever that was, right? So with that being said, check this out. So for 3 to 4 days at the RNC, we heard that Donald Trump was really, really, really into music. More often than I've ever heard in my life that this man loves music, right? Donald Trump has been in the public space since the late 70s. But in 3 days, we heard over and over again how when they're golfing, he selects the music. When they're on the airplane, he's in charge of the playlist. When there's a party, he's the DJ. Over and over. I'm thinking, that is weird. Why is that always coming up? Then we hear from people like Tucker Carlson and Eric Trump and others how since the Pew Pew attempt on his life, that he has been reflective yet driven, somber yet determined, right? Kind of stoic yet purposeful. And I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense. I would say that sort of stuff too, because you just got, shot in the head. But then at the end of this thing, Donald Trump comes up and he does this speech, long speech, hour and 30 minutes plus, right? Longest speech since Donald Trump in 2016. That guy. Anyway, so he's getting everybody excited. The whole point of the RNC and the DNC is to rally the base, rally Americans who don't have a side yet, like those exist, and somehow get everybody excited. And you end these things on like some awesome rock music, some awesome, like Americana sort of stuff, because that's typically what gets everybody excited. How does Donald Trump end this? He ends it with an opera. And I am not an opera fan. I've never been to the opera. I don't even know the whole point of going, so I'm not that sort of cultured dude, right? But I'm sitting there next to my wife, and I'm listening to this, and I'm thinking this is kind of odd, because I've been to the RNC. I've also been to the DNC. Even though I think it's an evil bird, you'd be surprised on how many of these little evil birds I happen to know. But I'm sitting there next to my wife watching this, because we just had a baby a few weeks ago, and I'm thinking, I know this song. She's like, what? You know this opera song? I'm like, I do. I really do. Now, why do I know this song? Because I happened to, when I was younger, before I was married, honey, had a crush on Bridget Moynihan. And Bridget Moynihan had a movie that everybody watched. No, not Coyote Ugly. That one was good too. But it was called Sum of All Fears. And I've watched that movie probably 30, 40 times. Because it's a Bridget Moynihan movie. It has Morgan Freeman and J-Lo's estranged husband guy. And I've watched this movie over and over, and I'm thinking, I know this song. And then it hits me at 1:41 in the morning. I'm thinking, aha, that's the song at the end of that movie. So if you don't know what that movie's about, this is what's going to really flip your biscuit. That movie is about an attempted assassination on a president that does not become successful. The president figures out that the parties that be blamed it on a patsy. And in the movie, at the end, when this opera is playing, the president has figured out who's really behind the effort, and he unalives them all. Just saying. Was that a coincidence? Talk about a crazy, crazy coincidence from somebody who evidently picked the playlist.
Right. Ain't that something? Trump's a bad man. I ain't gonna hold you. Trump is a bad man.
So Molly Obama is starting her new career in Hollywood and decided to separate herself from the family by changing her name. And everyone's saying the same thing. Yeah, she's joining Hollywood because she's been acting this whole time. You all know whose kids them is, man. Look at this. Spin image. She did what she had to do. She had to act like she was in the family, just like her sister, to fool all y'all, to make it look like a big happy family. And then once the terms were over, the terms were over.
Them girls don't look nothing like that couple.
That contract was expired. She got her Harvard degree and dipped.
She looked just like daggone Michelle. I don't know what y'all talking about. And heck, she looked like Obama.
And now she's changing her name back to the original. See, people don't realize this is all propaganda. They don't trick everybody, fool everybody. Come on now. When's the last time you seen Obama, Michelle, and all the kids all together, all at one time? Yeah, I know, they going to college, whatever, but come on, it can at least be one time.
What kind of stuff they have buried in those Vatican archives?
Oh man,
and
they
what
got
kind
so
of stuff
much.
is hidden from us?
Whew. Listen, in those 5 miles of underground Vatican archives.
Right, that's a lot.
There's been a few people that have come out talking who have had access to these Vatican archives. They can't say specifically everything they saw, but one guy did come on a documentary on History Channel years ago and talked about the fact that they had bones of beings that weren't human. From their perspective, they weren't human bodies. They had books and texts down there that nobody's ever been able to read or access that talk about technology, flying devices, and all these other incredible things that were hidden during the Inquisitions. Because during the Inquisitions, they were suppressing technology heavy because they wanted to keep their boot on the necks of the people. The Inquisition was so brutal, they killed over 80 million people over the course of 700 years, ordered underneath the popes. That really held us back because we should have been on the moon in the 1800s if it wasn't for the Inquisitions. Wow. That alone held us back from technological advancement.
There's a possibility that everything we have today we could have had back then. Because when you think about how smart so many people were back then, Einstein, Tesla, Nikola Tesla, why couldn't we have the things that we have today back then? We absolutely could have.
This man says he's a time traveler and has the videos to prove it.
People believe that this guy is a time traveler because of the videos that he's been posting. Like this one right here where he says he went to a Taco Bell from 1984.
Guys, I am here in 1984. As you can see behind me, there's Taco Bell. Not lying.
Those look kind of old.
Look at this, 1984, guys, Taco Bell.
There's this one where he says that he traveled to the 1880s.
I'm in Western times. Let me show you something. Guys, I'm here in 1885 in a little town called Los Angeles before it became what it is today.
But not everybody believes him, so he went ahead and he posted this video right here where he's able to identify the color of the car before it even drives past him.
For those of you who still do not believe that I'm a time traveler, this is going to be absolute proof that I am. I'm about to prove to you that I've already lived this day and I could pretty much predict everything that's about to happen. Let me show you. White truck, white car. Gray car. Gray car, white car. Blue car, gray car.
So you have to believe him after that one, okay? And if you still don't, he just posted one a few days ago and this is what he had to say.
Guys, I'm in 2018. You can tell behind me, I'm in Sweet Tomatoes. Check this out. Guys, I'm inside Sweet Tomatoes.
Let me know in the comments, guys. Do you believe him or is he a fraud? Stay weird.
Guys, we are in a simulation and I just got proof. And I don't usually do videos like this, but I literally just got proof. I can't even talk. This just happened right now and I'm going to show you proof. My heart is beating a million miles a minute. Okay, so I just finished breakfast, right? Mind you, I'm sitting here by myself and I fell back to sleep after I woke up to go to my morning workout, right? And as I'm eating breakfast, I'm thinking to myself, dude, why was I so exhausted? I went to bed at a decent time for me not to be that exhausted. Why did I fall back asleep? So, it's late morning now. Like I wanted to get up, and be up by 5:30, 6 o'clock. Then it dawned on me, oh, that's right. We just added a medication to my regimen to help with anxiety. That it's like a bedtime thing. It's a very low dose. And I remember that I took it around 9 p.m., around 9, 10 p.m. And I thought to myself, that might be what it is, right? That I'm taking it too late. So it's like, it's making me groggy or it's making me tired, even though it's not, anyways, that's the point. So I go, let me put a reminder for earlier in the evening to take it, okay? Guys, I'm gonna show you proof of this. So I'm sitting here eating breakfast, watching videos, right? And I go, hey, you know her name? I go, set a daily alarm for 7 p.m. That's all I say, right? She comes back and says to me, and I'm going to show you the proof. She says, a 7 p.m. alarm for your anxiety pill has been set. I didn't say what the alarm was for. I didn't even say it out loud. This was all an internal dialogue that I was having. No one is here. I'm going to freaking show you, because the thing came up at the top. Look. So like I said, I was watching videos. So I was watching this lady's video about, the gossip, whatever. And look at what it says. Look at that. Now, look at how, and one can say, oh, you Photoshop that. Watch this. So this photo, for some reason, I had to crop it because when it's big, you can't see the top. But watch this. Look at the Siri bubble right here. Because she just spoke it to me. I have never been one to really feed into those type of things. But if that isn't proof that we're in a simulation, if that isn't proof that these things are reading our minds, that just blew my mind. I don't know.
Hey Siri. Hey Siri. Set a daily alarm for 7 p.m.
I turned on your anxiety pill PM alarm at 7 p.m. starting today.
I knew it. I knew she was telling the truth. She just gave us ring camera footage evidence showing that she wasn't lying. She told Siri to set a reminder. Set clock reminder 7 p.m. Nothing about anxiety medication. But the phone said it specifically for anxiety medication. How did it know? That's crazy. That's crazy. What? Yo. Mouth to the floor.
I got it all, God. I'm living
Yo. That's wild.
A group of time travelers are messing with our timeline, interrupting viral memes and classic vines, stopping them from ever happening in the first place. If we don't stop them soon enough, they'll be invading today's videos and we'll never get...
Yo, this is crazy. This is cool. It's AI, baby. AI taking over the memes.
Big surprise, it's all AI, which is low-key even scarier because they're taking over the entire internet and soon AI videos might be all we have. You probably missed it, but the internet actually died 8 years ago. At least according to a theory going around saying that almost everything you find online doesn't actually exist. Articles, channels, videos, posts, even me right now is all fake. The dead internet theory. And we see this already happening in real time on the most popular social media site in the world. You know, the blue one. It's getting bombarded by AI content created for the sole purpose of engagement and keeping viewers scrolling for more. The never-ending slot machine of addiction, flicking that thumb for your next dopamine jackpot. Pretty much every social media platform. Photos like these show up on the timeline, clearly AI generated, but somehow have thousands of likes and extremely generic comments from moms and aunts. But what if most of these people aren't even real? Because these pics get weird. As AI learns what gets the most likes and comments, it slowly starts to notice patterns of what sort of content to continue to generate. One of these patterns was kids in Africa building stuff, like this house with no door. Now, to tech-savvy individuals like you and me, these are clearly AI and quite laughable at that. But to some, I guess it's the most amazing thing they've ever seen. It's almost like the AI is trying so hard to appear human, generating images that combine the most emotional aspects of humanity into one. Poor, starving African child builds inspirational monument with all that he's got left around him. Which leads us to the next and probably the most successful style of AI photo art there is, Jesus. Yes, the AI learned that if it includes Jesus in its photos, they are almost certain to go viral. Clearly figuring it.
Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. I was seeing this mess on Facebook so much. I'm like, God, what in the Jesus AI is happening right now?
That it can bait people into engaging with its content by playing with their emotions and beliefs. And they just keep getting more and more ridiculous, which makes you think, is an AI actually coming up with the prompts themselves too? Because I don't know anyone that would ever think that Shrimp Jesus would be a viral hit. Look at the comments and they're all saying the same generic things. Are they AI generated as well? Even the actual profile, display picture, bio, likes, everything can easily be made with AI today. That would be AI coming up with prompts to generate AI AI images posted by a bot to a Facebook page with AI-generated captions and tags that is liked and commented on by mostly bots. Robots making content for other robots. Welcome to the dead internet theory, my friend.
Ain't that something? Robots making content for other robots. Mind blown. That's not a world that I want to live in.
Friends, the entire web is dominated by soulless bots and AI, but is this even a theory anymore? For argument's sake, I'll say yes, it is, but we really are seeing it unfold before our very eyes. And this is just with photos. What's gonna happen when AI video generators start becoming more accessible and just start getting better and better? Will we be able to generate viral Hawk Twa girl level memes with a single prompt? Full AI channels with AI generated scripts, voiceovers, people, and entire 30-minute AI videos themselves. And this is already happening. Unlike Photoshop and advanced video effect editors of our past, these AI tools are extremely easy to use and anyone can make them. Give it a few more years and we'll be able to AI generate an entire $100 million blockbuster movie from a couple prompts, only for it to get watched, liked, and commented on by other bots. Studies already show that only about 50% of web traffic is actually human, and it's getting smaller every year, with some estimates putting that number closer to 36%. If you look close enough on any platform, you can see these generic comments posted by very generic looking accounts. Hell, we definitely even have some in this video. You down there, Ashley? The dead internet theory was thought up in 2021 and states that around 2016, the internet started having content that was normally made by real human creators generated by bots. And this was in 2016. You can only imagine how much more believable the content is and how much quicker it's happening right now with ChatGPT, Midjourney, and DALL-E that anyone can use. Maybe it'll get better, but as of now, there's something empty, soulless, and just downright creepy about AI content that just doesn't have the spark of life that real videos used to. You see, the internet wasn't always the way it is today. Back in the early days, it was simply a collection of online pages that just existed, and anything you wanted to find, you had to intentionally seek out, or get it sent to you by a friend, or even just stumble upon it by complete random chance. Today, everything is determined by the algorithm that shows you what it knows you like, creating an echo chamber of your own beliefs and views. The internet is run by AI who has one job: keep you looking at your screen for as long as possible so you can keep watching ads and keep buying stuff you don't need, serving the ultra-wealthy elite class so they can stay in power and we stay mindlessly strapped into our own matrix, while feeding them the most valuable resource of our world today: data. Now this is where it gets tinfoil hatty, my specialty, so take it with a grain of salt. A rock of salt. DARPA, a research and development agency of the US Department of Defense, actually started a program called LifeLog back in 2003, with the goal of logging people's entire lives, everything they like and buy, everyone they talk to, and so much more. Mass compiling this data and using it to, quote from their official goals, exploit these patterns to ease its task. Basically, find patterns in human behavior on an individual level and exploit them for its own benefit. The Pentagon spent millions of dollars on this project, only for it to get shut down by civil rights groups for privacy violations on February 4th, 2004. Whew. We sure dodged that bullet now, didn't we? Not quite. Because you know what else was founded on that very same exact day? Yup. The big blue social media giant, founded on February 4th, 2004. Search it up if you don't believe me. A tool that is designed to farm data, that is now fed to bots so they can generate and interact with content that is data engineered to keep us addicted and distracted from the real world. Soon enough, entire channels, or even pages like this one, might be fully bot operated. Who knows, maybe I'm even AI generated right now. At our current rates, some projections reveal that by 2030, 99 to 99.99% of all online content and interactions will be run by bots, and the internet will officially be dead. Only people like you can save it by being the beacon of human hope in a sea of bots.
Heck no, man. Look, I hope I'm still around creating content. That's just 6 years from now. Really? 2030? Man, look, not everything gonna be AI generated. Certainly not me. Y'all still gonna see my face, my ugly mug.
NVIDIA just showed us something that is terrifying.
The next wave of AI is physical AI. Everything is going to be robotic. All of the factories will be robotic. The factories will orchestrate robots, and those robots will be building products that are robotic. Robots interacting with robots, building products that are robotic. This isn't the future. This is happening now. Let me show you the video. The era of robotics has arrived. One day, everything that moves will be autonomous. researchers and companies around the world are developing robots powered by physical AI. Physical AIs are models that can understand instructions and autonomously perform complex tasks in the real world. Multimodal LLMs are breakthroughs that enable robots to learn, perceive, and understand the world around them and plan how they'll act. And from human demonstrations, robots can now learn the skills required to interact with the world using gross and fine motor skills.
This is not...
One of the integral technologies for advancing robotics is reinforcement learning. Just as LLMs need RLHF or
This is the
reinforcement
start
learning
of
from human
every
feedback,
apocalypse
to
movie
learn particular skills,
involving
generative
robots.
Physical AI can learn skills using reinforcement learning from physics feedback in a simulated world. These simulation environments are where robots learn to make decisions by performing actions in a virtual world that obeys the laws of physics. In these robot gyms, a robot can learn to perform complex and dynamic tasks safely and quickly, refining their skills through millions of acts of trial and error. We built NVIDIA Omniverse as the operating system where physical AI
You're building Skynet. Have you not seen Terminator?
Is a development platform for virtual world simulation, combining real-time, physically based rendering, physics simulation, and generative AI technologies.
Skynet.
In Omniverse, robots can learn how to be robots. They learn how to autonomously manipulate objects with precision, such as grasping and handling objects, or navigate environments autonomously, finding optimal paths while avoiding obstacles and hazards. Learning in Omniverse minimizes the sim to real gap and maximizes the transfer of learned behavior. Building robots with generative physical AI requires 3 computers: NVIDIA AI supercomputers to train the models, NVIDIA Jetson Orin and next generation Jetson Thor robotic supercomputer to run the models, and NVIDIA Omniverse, where robots can learn and refine their skills in simulated worlds. We build the platforms, acceleration libraries, and AI models needed by developers and companies, and allow them to use any or all of the stacks that suit them best. The next wave of AI is here. Robotics, powered by physical AI, will revolutionize industries.
The robot doctor. But should it happen now? Every single AI or robot-based film, there's an advert like that, and we're seeing it in real life. Robots working with robots to build robotic products. That sounds like a recipe for the end of the world. That is the beginning of every film where the robots take over. It's impressive, but have you ever stopped to think that maybe we're creating something we won't be able to control?
What was the movie? I think it was a Disney Pixar movie. Was it WALL-E or something? Where it depicted a future like this. But in that future, all the humans were fat, out of shape, and unhealthy. That's exactly what's going to happen if we have a future like this, what NVIDIA is working on. What jobs would people have? Because every single job there was being fulfilled by these robots. What jobs will people have? How will people make money? They would have to give us like some sort of universal income to sustain ourselves, and they would have to drop the cost of living dramatically. People, their whole lives should just be working out, going to the gym, and enjoying their life. That's what it would have to be, because what else are we going to do? They got all the jobs.
Egyptian artifacts make absolute...
Hold on, that look like Michael Jackson, I ain't gonna lie.
Zero sense, and archaeologists might just be afraid of being wrong. How is it the further back in time we go, the more advanced they get? Egypt is old, like really old. Egypt is so old that even ancient Egyptians studied ancient Egyptian history thousands of years older than them. When the Romans discovered the pyramids, they were older to the Romans than the Romans are to us today. Woolly mammoths still roamed the earth when they were first built. And of course, everyone knows that Cleopatra lived closer to the invention of the iPhone, or hell, closer to you watching this video right now than she did to the construction of the pyramids. What's strange is that as time went on, their artifacts somehow got less and less advanced. The Egyptian Empire reigned for about 3,000 years, divided into approximately 31 dynasties classified into the Old, Middle, and New Kingdoms. When we go back to the first 5 or so dynasties, the Old Kingdom, we see impressive feats of design engineering unlike any other. And impressive is an understatement. These are straight up machine perfect down to the micrometer. Like this round vase, perfectly balancing itself dead center on a point no larger than the tip of an egg.
That's insane.
Except this isn't your pottery class vase made of clay. It's granite. And granite is harder than steel. That's a fact. Here are the numbers. Here's another vase, slightly chipped, revealing its walls are as thin as a playing card. Another bowl made from diorite, a stone as hard or even slightly harder than granite, whose walls are literally 1/40th of an inch or half a millimeter thick. We have no idea how to make granite pottery like this using known ancient methods. Using known ancient methods, although high-tech machines could probably do the trick. But I don't think you realize how insane it is to suggest that this level of mechanical precision was achieved on granite using primitive tools softer than granite, the official claim. And these are just a few. There were over 40,000 of these artifacts found under the Step Pyramid of Djoser dating back to the 3rd or 4th dynasty, with some suggesting they're actually pre-dynastic, meaning they're even older, and the Old Kingdom Egyptians just inherited them from a previous civilization. Oh, we're in too deep now, Johnny boy. It's only in recent times when we finally analyzed them with modern light scanning technology that we found out how mind-bendingly precise they really are. They took a jar, did some measurements in a lab, and to this day, Egyptologists have no explanation for these results. The top of the vase was 3/1000ths of an inch away from being perfectly flat, something only possible with like CNC machines today. For reference, a sheet of paper is 7/1000ths of an inch thick. A human hair is 2 to 3. This thing was a literal hair away from being perfectly flat. The inside lip of the vase's mouth was 1/1000th of an inch away from being perfectly perpendicular to the top, which is a mathematically flawless right angle. And the entire vase was 13/1000ths of an inch, which is still just like 2 sheets of paper away from being perfectly circular. These are legit CNC machine level perfections, mass produced over 40,000 times on a material harder than steel using copper and stone tools by hand. Oh, and they might be pre-dynastic before copper tools were widely even used. I don't see an ounce of logic in that. Okay, maybe this one was just a fluke, right? A one-off perfect vase as a result of mass producing over 40,000 of them. So they took more into the lab and found even more astonishingly accurate measurements, revealing alleged machine-calculated mathematical use of pi, the golden ratio, and more, again to within thousands of an inch of accuracy. That's like that much. Everything from the flatness of the base, the roundness, and even the uniformity of the thickness of the walls was nothing less of CNC machine perfection. Justifying this by saying they were just really skilled or they had a lot of time does not explain this level of precision with the known tools and methods at their disposal. There are even some vases that are reportedly made from corundum, which is magnitudes harder than granite and sits right behind diamond on the hardness scale. Although this one is for some reason debated, a lot of people claim it isn't made from corundum, but still others insist it is. A single one of these pots would have likely taken weeks, if not months, given modern explanations. Shouldn't there be evidence of their highly precise techniques all over ancient Egypt? Oh, there was this, a hieroglyph outlining the sculpting of an alabaster vase, one of the softest materials ever, softer than marble and totally possible with their tools. But it's been proven that the technique outlined here would not work with granite. Sure, cutting into huge slabs using rough and painstakingly slow techniques using those tools might be possible, as we've seen them desperately trying to prove, but the force of friction required to achieve that simply would not be possible on small, delicate artifacts like these, never mind how machine accurate they are. Some of these vases are as small as a thimble, not even practical, and even harder to make, almost like they were just showing off, like look what we could do. do. One theory is that these vases were spun on some sort of grinding tool for which they have no evidence nor recordings of, but that's completely blown out of the water with the lug handles on the sides here. It's pretty obvious that these wouldn't be possible from spin grinding. Absolutely no one can explain how these lug handles were made, which again, lab results showed that they too were perfectly symmetrical and level to each other to within thousandths of an inch. Later dynasties even tried recreating these jars, and although still impressive, are nowhere near the precision of the earlier ones. This level of advanced pottery is said to have reached its peak in the first two dynasties, and then poof, they just forgot how to do it, which leads people to believe these artifacts might be much older than anyone thinks. What if they inherited them from even earlier previous civilizations?
We don't have nothing like that. That's so precise that you can just let it just sit on a spin, and no matter what you put inside of it, it's still going to sit upright because the level of precision is that precise. And the other thing, the fact that the dynasties that followed couldn't even remake these things. So it was like the civilization just kept getting dumber. And that shows today. We're dumber than the third or fourth dynasty.
And it doesn't end with these. There's also the schist disc crafted from a single piece of stone. Tell me, what kind of stone can be shaped like this by hand? No one really knows what this is, said to be a bowl or a flower holder of some sort, even though it looks sort of mechanical. Recovered from a first dynasty tomb, and again thought to be even older than that. Then we get to the statues, and these somehow make even less sense. The face of Ramesses at Luxor. Several of these statues were made in honor of the pharaoh Ramesses. Engineer Christopher Dunn noticed that there was something off about these faces. They were perfect, but almost too perfect, and not in a human way. He took a photo of the statue head, made it 50% transparent, flipped it, and overlaid the left side on the right side. Doing this, he discovered the face was perfectly symmetrical. Centerline measurements confirmed this too. It's like half the head was carved, then copy-pasted to the other half. We see consistent eye-to-mouth profile ratios across all of these statue heads. Something that we'd likely do with like 3D modeling programs today. Computer-accurate precision.
I wish I was there. It makes no sense. They were amazing. They were so amazing that we can't figure out anything that they were doing.
Same thing with the crowns on their heads, and this wasn't done just once but repeated among many statues. This isn't something that anyone could just eyeball, but experts insist they were all done by hand. Professional sculptor Mike Leckie even wrote in a letter saying that his modern diamond tools would have been well worn out before barely even starting to sculpt something like this out of granite, and states that it would have been borderline impossible to repeatedly achieve this level of accuracy time and time again using only the tools we have evidence of. What machining technologies did ancient Egyptians or even earlier civilizations before them possess that archaeologists just simply refuse to even consider?
I want one. How can I get my hands on one? Y'all had thousands of them. Y'all can let me have one. I really want one.
This doesn't explain that, and investigators are getting mocked for speaking out about it. Drill cores like these have been found all around ancient Egypt, which was the leftover piece that would be thrown away by Egyptian builders after a hole was drilled into granite. Now, modern explanations use a bow drill made from a copper tube to demonstrate how these holes were drilled. And they work. Myth busted. We can move on, right? Not even close. First of all, yes, there are several hieroglyphs that supposedly demonstrate the use of these alleged drills, typically using them on tables, not granite slabs. Yet, not a single copper tube drill artifact has ever been recovered from Egypt, like ever. They made these holes all the time. Shouldn't these copper tube drills kind of be everywhere? Counter argument is that copper was so valuable that they likely smelted it down for other uses. Every single last one of them. How convenient. But that's nothing compared to the machining marks found on this drill core. The infamous Petrie's core number 7, found by Sir Flinders Petrie. And of course, the common Google debunker can search this up and find countless sources that irrefutably debunk this myth. But for those that can think for themselves, a little digging shows that something just doesn't make sense about this. Analyzing the core and wrapping a string of cotton around the grooves showed the drill marks produced a continuous spiral down the entire core, which the bow drill method doesn't do, but rather horizontal lines that look nothing like the authentic Egyptian cores. It doesn't end there. Analysis confirmed by fringe theorists like aerospace engineer Christopher Dunn, who worked with machining tools his entire life, suggested that after studying the spacing of the drill marks on this core, that the penetration rate of whatever method the ancient Egyptian used to drill this core must have been 500 times greater than our diamond drill drills today. His words, his conclusion. He obviously must be crazy. Now, that doesn't mean the drilling method was faster back then than it is today. It just means that, according to his calculations, these ancient drills had a greater vertical penetration for every rotation of the drill than today's technology. This clearly evil fringe analysis explains how the grooves on the drill core indicate a 0.1 inch of vertical penetration for every rotation of the drill head, whereas modern diamond drills with a 900 RPM achieve about 0.0002 inches of penetration per rotation, 500 times less than the ancient method. It could have very well
500 times less. It's crazy.
Bit and probably was slower with whatever drilling technique they were using back then, but this level of penetration is mathematically not possible with today's diamond drills, and clearly not with the bow drill. Now listen, I'm not saying they used lasers or advanced high-tech drills or anything like that. I'm also not fully dismissing it, but it seems so obvious to me and several other questioners that something was used here that they're just refusing to even acknowledge. Just like the scoop marks they found around the unfinished mega obelisk at Aswan, which looks like they literally scooped granite directly out of the quarry. The explanation? Pounding stones, banging other rocks against it, for which they haven't been able to replicate but still stand by. Or maybe the ancients had some sort of forgotten method to soften hard stone, making it malleable and easy to work with that we're just unaware of. Okay, that's enough for now, because this is a rabbit hole that I don't think anyone's ready for.
Man, what were they doing?
This is gallium, a soft metal with the most OP hidden superpower they don't want you to know about. Just kidding, almost everyone knows about it, except for you, having the 4th lowest melting point of all metals at just 30 degrees Celsius. Right behind cesium, francium, and of course mercury, the heat of your hands is enough to turn gallium into a liquid. Unlike mercury, it's much less toxic to touch, but has a tendency to stick to your skin, which gets annoying. What is interesting about gallium, though, is what it does to metals like aluminum. Its unique molecular structure allows it to essentially soak into other metals with compatible structures like aluminum, similar to water seeping into a sponge. Just mere contact with liquid gallium on any aluminum surface infuses the gallium atoms into the very molecular structure of the aluminum, turning it into an alloy.
Oh wow, this is fascinating. And this is safe to put on your skin?
Which is just a substance composed of 2 or more metals. This alloy takes on new physical properties that make it weak and brittle, much like gallium is when it's solid. With a little gallium and a bit of time, anything with aluminum will eventually crumble into dust after having its atomic bonds invaded and destroyed by the gallium. And it's just pretty cool to watch.
That's crazy.
I dare you to try to explain the 100-ton granite boxes at the Serapeum of Saqqara in Egypt. There's 24 of these massive granite enclosures, and you won't believe the official explanation for them. All 24 of them were moved into this underground complex, dating to about 1400 BC, where they now sit. And the craftsmanship of these boxes is once again insane. Perfect right angles and parallel sides leveled with machine-like precision, you know the drill. Made of granite, which reminder is harder than steel, using bronze and stone tools that are softer than granite. Like, you know, using a plastic knife to cut through a car door. Try that out and let me know how it goes. But never mind that. I've already said it 100 times about all these other artifacts and ancient architecture throughout ancient Egypt, because these boxes, they're different. Let's start with the sheer size, about 100 tons each, and barely even fit through the hallways they would need to pass through to be placed in the pits that they currently sit in. As we can see from this unfinished box here that was abandoned in one of the passageways at the Serapeum. If you couldn't tell, they're also made from a single piece of granite each, so it's not like they took smaller pieces and just glued them together. One big-ass brick of granite, hollowed out from the inside into a perfect box, absolutely zero room for any mistakes. And I find it extremely difficult to imagine how, once again, this sawing method could hollow out a granite box like this with flawless accuracy. Because 100 tons is a lot. The experts claim that we might be able to move 100-ton objects using primitive methods as long as we had enough people, which according to them is about 400. Tell me, how on earth would 400 people be able to coordinate moving 100-ton blocks in cramped hallways like these and around these super tight corners? For reference, this is what 400 people looks like. All stuffed in there. Not to mention, the boxes were perfectly placed in the center of rooms even smaller than the hallways. Where do we have room for 400 people there? And I don't know if you noticed, but these hallways and pits are currently lit up with modern lighting, which the ancient Egyptians obviously didn't have. This Serapeum would have been pitch black day and night 3,400 years ago, but of course they still had fire and torches that served this exact purpose, right? Except they found no evidence of soot, the leftover scorches from torch fire, anywhere on the walls or ceilings in this complex, as they would normally find in dark underground passages passageways. Any commonsensical person would imagine that a project like this would have taken thousands of hours of work in torchlit chambers, yet not a shred of proof of that anywhere. So what did they use to see in the dark back then? And the entire Saqqara necropolis itself is dug into limestone bedrock. There's no granite found here, so they couldn't have chiseled these in place either, as some may suggest. What we do know is that these boxes were important, like super duper important. But for what? Clearly an undertaking of this scale would have surely held a higher purpose for their civilization. I mean, they definitely weren't tombs. They're obviously way too big, right? Nope, they still call them tombs. Made for, get this, the pharaoh's prized bulls. Yes, bull tombs. They said it, so it must be real. Now, upon discovery in 1850, most of these boxes were already open. Their lids either gone or moved over, so whatever was inside had likely already been stolen. You know, by those pesky thieves that conveniently steal everything that historians have no evidence of. But they found one box that was completely sealed, lid fully intact, so the bull skeleton must still be inside. A perfect opportunity to prove this theory. Well, firstly, they couldn't lift the lid, which is only about 30 tons, as they weren't able to get enough manpower in the room to even budge it. Yet the Egyptians somehow moved the entire 100-ton blocks themselves into those rooms thousands of years earlier. Makes sense. So they did the only logical thing that anyone from the 1800s would do in such a scenario. Blow it the f up with TNT. Yeah, for real. Archaeology was pretty savage back then, which finally revealed the truth that the boxes at the Serapeum of Saqqara were filled with nothing. Absolutely nothing. No mummy, no bull skeletons, no gold or treasure, nada. They did find mummified bull carcasses in a bunch of wooden sarcophagi, as would be expected, in an area called the Lesser Gallery, but not a single one found in any of the granite boxes. Cause yes, to be fair, the Apis bull was a highly revered deity worshipped by the ancient Egyptians, symbolizing fertility in agriculture and the physical embodiment of their god Ptah. Hope I pronounced that right. I just find it hard to believe that a project of this colossal magnitude, which would have taken years, if not decades to complete, was dedicated to stashing the bodies of dead animals. While at the same time, mummified bulls were found in much smaller, simpler wooden sarcophagi in the Lesser Gallery, which is oddly close to the public and no images of those exist either. Allegedly proving that this is how they stored bull remains, not this. But then again, I'm just an idiot. Still others claim these boxes may have been power conductors that generated electricity for their civilization, part of the infamous Giza power plant theory, which is a fringe idea that may or may not be true, and I explained it in full in a previous video. So, are these really bull tombs, or just a steaming load of bullshit?
But nah, he's doing a fantastic job with all these videos, and now I want to go visit these places. I want to go see these sites for myself because it's extremely fascinating. I'm turned on right now, in a good way, not a weird way, in a scientific way. Anyway, y'all, that's all I got for y'all this evening. I hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure you hit that like button. I'm gonna need about 5,000 likes on this video. Y'all think y'all could do it? 5,000 likes? I think y'all could do it. Anyway, leave your thoughts, comments, and opinion down below, and I'm gonna catch y'all in the next one. See you.